I was so focused on weeding at that time, knowing like how good his kick was.
I didn't think I had it, to be honest with you. The last 50, I was just like, don't let up, don't let up, don't let up.
Oh, this is going to be a tight finish.
How you doing? I'm Matt Centrowitz. No, I'm just kidding.
Wait, what did you say?
How you doing, guys? I'm Andrew Weeding.
I'm AJ Costa.
Matthew Centrowitz, the Men of Oregon. Here recapping the NCAA 1500-meter championship in 2010 with my boys. I think we remember like how the coaches specifically gave us all different strategies and like we didn't tell each other because it was like a strategy that obviously catered to each of our strengths.
I remember that he said, if it's fast, sit at the back. If it's slow,
You?
sit at the back.
Sit at the back?
Me.
No.
Can you believe that? Oh, get out of here.
I know. We had a very good chance at winning NCAAs that year because we had Ashton Eaton, we had a really good 4x4, and we had some really good javelin throwers. And the javelin throwers did not make the final. And so we're like, man, how many points do we need to score in this 1500 in order to like have a shot at the national championship? And I'm sure someone joked about it being like, I guess we could just go 1, 2, 3 and put us in the hunt for it. That was where we were right before. We were just trying to win the title.
Let's get to it.
Ooh, tape.
Infamous puka shell necklace, baby.
That's cool. It's coming back.
That necklace was undefeated in college. I'll tell you that much.
I'm looking at the gun because I
The gunman.
thought that would give me like a split-second advantage in my.
You know what? I started doing that after you did it. You're if you look actually at the Olympic final, I'm looking over at the starter, even though it wasn't a gun, it was an electric, like whatever, but you could see it before you could hear it.
And he didn't really run track in any kind of a regular training way till his senior year.
Quite frankly, I was shocked that they took it out as slow as they did.
This part right here, I remember it was just like, at that point, it was, 30-second, 32, and I'm like, okay, we know how this one's going to go. It's going to be a slow one.
We were all, if you ask anyone there, it's like Pfeiffer, right? Back in the day, like you just knew he was going to take it. And that's how Liam Manuel was, I think, like during that time. Obviously, we knew Weeding was coming off of the 800 double. And at that time, it was like the fourth race and the fourth day. So I think everyone was like, obviously fearing Weeding more than anyone else in the field. And it was definitely to everyone else in the field's advantage to kind of having a fast race. So I think we were all like really surprised. And although expecting Lee to do it, that no one else took it on, so.
Yeah, I remember I was out in lane 2 for the majority of it too. I was like, if we're gonna jog 67s, I could stay out here.
Liam Manuel and AJ Acosta leading the way right now. Riley,
So at this point, this is where I took over, and I remember coming around the curve, and Ben was standing over at, I think he was up top in the Bowerman building, and I remember looking up at him and just going like, what is going on? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like,
For real?
Yeah.
He just shook his head, and I was like, all right, I guess I'm in the front, because I think Ben specifically said, don't go to the front.
Right before the race started, I remember the three of us gathered together and just kind of like had that moment. And I'll never forget. We were on the backstretch. We were all kind of huddled together, and I said to you guys, like, hey, look, I'm not losing anybody who's not wearing a yellow jersey. So let's go ahead and do this. So I was very confident that the three of us were going to take this race. Whether it was 1, 2, 3, I wasn't sure, but I was not going to lose to somebody else who was not wearing a yellow jersey. So and to have you guys in this race, my God, man, I'm getting like chills thinking about it. Man, it was just that moment where we're here with your boys. Let's own the hell out of this. And I was fired up.
Yes, I do. Absolutely. Absolutely. Weeding with
All right, so
This is where Lee goes. I think this is what we all knew this was coming.
Like, all right, Lee.
So I'm absolutely in a brick right now because I'm in the worst position possible of anyone in the field. Even Merber, who's off the pack, is in a better position than me because he can go around. I knew Weeding was just like right on my ass with like 500 to go. So I kind of panicked right here, and I shot out like a bullet, went from like dead last to second.
Trying to get up into second place. Acosta holding on. They hit the bell in 2 minutes, 53.6 seconds. 1 to go.
This is where I was panicking because I felt like I was like topped out, and the race was getting away from me. I was like, just hold on.
It was, I mean, I don't know what that 200 was, but from like 500 to 300 was like very quick. I'm sure we were all like almost maxed out.
Plus for that lap. Wow.
Matthew Centrowitz
There was a screen on the with 150 to go on the backstretch, and so you could see everyone behind you. There it is, right there. I remember looking up with 200 to go, and I only made this move. I was feeling tapped out too because I saw Weeding. I was so focused on Weeding at that time, knowing like how good his kick was, that I felt like I had to have like a substantial lead.
Holy crap, man! I didn't think I had it, to be honest with you. The last 50, I was just like, don't let up, don't let up, don't let up, and just fell across the line. If that race was 2 feet longer, I think AJ would have had me.
AJ's celebration started at a good, 10, 15 meters out.
Matt, were you sad that you didn't get a jump in my arms hug?
Felt so
AJ Nation. AJ has a nation.
I believe Phil Knight was in attendance that day. There was a good photo of Ben and Phil embracing each other after it. I'm the little brother, you know. Look at me. I remember constantly getting the question like, if you didn't celebrate before, would you have got it? And I mean, as an athlete, it's kind of like, I felt like that's pretty disrespectful. You know what I mean? Like, not to yourself, but like to the competition and stuff.
In that race, no. If I could teleport back in time and not start celebrating, maybe. But for sure that race there was no way, because I saw that we were 1, 2, 3, and I was like,
no, I completely agree with you, 100%. Also, it makes the finish line picture look that much better.
I used to think that the Hayward Field Magic was like this like bunk, like marketing branding thing, and I was like, dude, there's no such thing. And I remember coming off the Bowerman curve with 100 to go, and the roar from the Hayward Field crowd, like it was just cacophony. It was like, because like I said, with 200 to go, I was like tapped out, and then 100 meters to go, I'm like, all right, like let's make something happen. And then it just like you feel that noise, and you know that noise is for you, and you can hear it going up several different octaves.
Remember when we tried to do a victory lap together, and then people started yelling at us, like, no.
Really? I don't remember that.
Yeah, we were like, no, we can. Let's 3 guys.
Dude, that's lame. Oh man, I didn't know that. I mean, how many shots of espresso did you have before this race, AJ? That's one question I have as your roommate this year.
Yeah, my go-to was the quad white mocha. I had like my whole caffeine, because I had read that it was like 8 milligrams of caffeine for every kilogram of body weight. So I'd like figured it out that like my ideal dosage was 400 milligrams of caffeine. Funny story. The following year at the conference meet in Tucson, I took caffeine pills, and I thought that they were 100 milligrams. So I took 4 of them, and it turns out that they were 200 milligrams. So I took 800 milligrams of caffeine, which would be 4 venti hot coffees in a span, and just having that amount of caffeine in your body. It's the worst I've ever felt in my life. I was just like
shaking.
No, it was the complete opposite. It was strange. Yeah, I was like so energized that I had no energy.
It's kind of crazy, like, you know, looking back on this a decade later, how, like I said earlier, just like the mixed bag of emotions I felt, but having now 10 years of letting it set in and understanding kind of like what we really accomplished. I think a lot of times like performances such as that take a little bit, like a few years, months, whatever, for it to kind of set in and you kind of realize like just how special and how significant that performance was. And I think that day, that race is like something that I always look back on my career and enjoy sharing it with you guys. Obviously, 2 other Oregon legends and guys that, you know, recruited me to the University of Oregon.
The interesting thing about the way that all 3 of us raced, all of our racing styles were so different, but also complementary. That it's like if you have a Venn diagram of our racing styles, and that's how we ended up winning that races. Centro went closer to the front with the lap to go, and then Weeding waited until like 200 meters, and I was like right up front, and then I got past with most like 400 to go.
Weeding, I got a question for you. Compare this one with your Olympic trial sweep with Oregon Track Club.
Oh man,
both in Eugene.
I mean, this one means more to me personally. I think the 08 race was just the race that kind of put me on the map. The expectation there was completely zero. It was flatline. Like no one, I could have finished last. Everyone would have been just as happy, but the expectation was blown out the water. And the surprise is what made that so much more wild. But man, I say it every time. Winning it is great, but finishing 1, 2, 3 with people, like friends that I considered my closest pals. Like, that year, everything that built up to that, like the goofiness we all had on that team, the fun, like, everything that we brought onto that team, and to celebrate it with 2 of my closer friends, it's like, that's so much more rewarding. So yeah, I think for me personally, I really like this race. But for running fans, they may look to the '08 race. But yeah, I take this every day.
This is the first time I've watched this race since probably at least like 2012. No need to like relive it. I have the memory in my head, and I can hear the sounds of Hayward Field. I know what happened. It happened a decade ago, and I still get this like pit in my stomach of like anxiousness. This is, if not the top race result in the history of Oregon, I would say that it's up there in the annals of NCAA history as well. Like, it's never been done, or to that point, it never been done.
Yeah, I don't know if there'll ever be another team to go 1, 2, 3 in the 1500. Such an unpredictable event. Not for a long time, man.
I credit those late nights of Halo and Call of Duty. I really.
Yeah, I'm still I'm still in it. I'm still training. So
still living it. All right, hey, thanks for watching, guys.
Go Ducks.
Go Ducks.